Now, one by one, they appeared before the Committee on Appointments to defend their suitability to lead different dockets that they have been nominated to serve in. We're talking about Kithure Kindiki, Deborah Baraza, Alice Wahome, Soy Pantuya, and Julius Ogamba. These are some of the nominated cabinet secretaries that started the process of vetting of the CS nominees today in the National Assembly. And to make sense of this particular event today, we'll be speaking to National Coordinator TISA, and that is Diana Gishengo, to make sense of the question that were asked, accountability issues to do with corruption, and how these particular nominees said they are going to deal with these particular issues in their different dockets. Start engaging us on our socials at K24TV across social media platforms. The hashtag you're using tonight is K24 Evening Edition. But first, top stories tonight.
Mr. Speaker, the police is under independent command. Article 245, paragraph 2. Tonight,
Interior CS nominee Kithure Kindiki absolves himself from any blame over police brutality meted on protesters, suggesting to formulate new guidelines for protesters going forward. Health CS nominee Deborah Baraza vows to implement a grid CBA to avert doctor strike, as well as use technology to fight corruption.
Agreeing with Treasury through Parliament that the sums of the budget of the ministry be ring-fenced, because it's a sensitive ministry, so that it gets released on time and released in totality.
Also tonight, Education CS nominee Julius Ogamba vows to undertake audits on various funding sources and bursaries to harness funds and prevent duplications, as well as end cartelism in the ministry.
We need to change the law to some extent to be able to give clarity to what the registrar should be able to do in the event that there is a clear fraud.
And Lands and Housing CS nominee Alice Wahome vows to crush land-grabbing cartels and fraudsters if approved in the docket, decrying lack of enough funds to enhance lands digitization. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Clement Muli. My name is Brian Amwai. Let's begin. Interior Ministry Cabinet nominee Professor Kithure Kindiki has absolved himself from any blame over police brutality meted on protesters. Appearing before the National Assembly Appointments Committee, Kindiki hinted at the ministry working on laws aimed at regulating demonstrations in the country. Yan Ketani now reports.
In this country is everything.
21 months later, Professor Kithure Kindiki was yet again before the National Assembly Committee on Appointments, seeking a fresh mandate as Interior Boss. Kindiki found himself in unfamiliar territory, the lawmakers going for his head over the shooting of protesters during the anti-government demonstrations. Kindiki, however, absolved himself from any blame.
The work of the minister, the Cabinet Secretary for Interior, as envisaged in Article 245 of the Constitution, is to give the organs of national security that fall under that ministry policy direction and policy guidance. And in particular, because we are talking about the police, Mr. Speaker, the police is under independent command. Article 245, paragraph 2.
The former Tharaka Nithi senator, however, lauded the police for protecting the country from people he termed as criminals, thereafter noting that the man in uniform who used excessive force must face the full force of the law.
Of criminals, arsonists, and other dangerous people, including those who visited Parliament and wanted to kill parliamentarians and other people. The police did their best.
With recent protests marred with abductions over several Kenyans, Kindiki had this to say.
That abductions, extrajudicial killings, and extra-constitutional means of apprehending offenders is against government policy, is against the Constitution, is against international law.
In a controversial move, Kindiki hinted at various legislations aimed at providing guidelines on demonstrations, laws that will see anyone planning to hold demonstrations declare the number of protesters who will attend the said demos.
Those draft regulations, when completed, will be able to ensure protesters don't run amok and overrun members of the public who are not protesting. Number 3, it will require those protesting to notify the police and tell and also give the number of protesters so that the appropriate arrangements are made.
As Kenyans continue to decry delayed justice for victims of police brutality, the Interior CS nominee assured the Select Committee of his commitment to ensure the Independent Police Oversight Authority is provided with enough resources to complete investigations on the conduct of the police.
Just ended tenure.
The fight against banditry in the North Rift region being one of his key agendas, a clearly confident Kindiki noted that despite the guns being silenced, if approved, he will fight against cattle rustling while promising those displaced by bandits over government support.
Crime of banditry has been reduced significantly, in my estimation, by more than 75%, even if pockets of insecurity continue to be experienced. And we do know where the gaps are and what needs to be done to even bring this problem to a complete end.
Money matters, so they say. Kindiki's wealth stood at 544 million shillings in October of 2022. 21 months later.
What is your worth?
694 million.
Made of?
Made of I have 2 homes, one in Nairobi and one in Tharaka Nithi. Then I have landed buildings, about 235 million. My 2 homes are worth 190 million.
Ian Keitani, K24TV, Nairobi.
Now, a section of Kenyans have expressed dimmed hopes over the Ministry of Interior leadership under the stewardship of nominated Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki, saying the backlog of issuance of passports and identity cards will be resolved. As Milia Kisienya now reports, many Kenyans are still yet to receive their passports and IDs, with some forced to forgo opportunities they applied for.
Those passports must be collected within 30 days, commencing 25th September 2023.
This was 10 months ago. Full of hope and assurance, former Interior CS Kindiki Kithure assured Kenyans of streamlining the issuance of passports that had turned out to be a puzzle that could be resolved.
Mr. Speaker, on the first issue of IDs.
And after failing to resolve this stagnating issue, Kenyans through the Gen Z movement pushed for the dismissal of the Interior CS.
The old and PWDs cannot access social safety net funds.
And despite his dismissal, Kindiki is back again, ready to redeem himself.
If you are going to have that ID last for 10 years, then you must put in place a seamless renewal process.
This time, back with the same agenda to streamline the backlog in the issuance of passports.
Regarding passports, a couple of times, and you know passports are the most important. You initially said within a day, within a week, within 2 weeks, but apparently the passport issue has not been sorted out.
We have cleared the backlog from 784,000 when it was at the highest, and today there is no backlog. We are issuing passports within 7 days, starting 1st of August, today. That was our deadline. We complied with that deadline 4 weeks ago. Our next deadline is therefore to bring the passport waiting period to 3 days by 1st of November this year.
And despite his efforts to assure Kenyans again, a section of Kenyans still feel there's little, if nothing, that will be done to tackle the issue. The displeasure stretched online and those in the streets.
Ukiangalia ilikuwa September na it's almost we are going to August, September, so inaenda mwaka moja. I'm yet to receive, bado inasema production, yet nili update the prices zenye zilikuwa wanataka nikaongeza na bado sijaweza kupata. Ile shida tuko nayo ni kuwa kwa kweli wanaongea wanasema, lakini kwa ground haifanyiki.
Nili apply 1st of September last year 2023
It's been like 11 months hadi sasa ndo nimeipokea.
And as passport issuance and application continue being a challenge, the issuance of the new generation IDs is also another headache to the government. Between November 2023 and March 2024, Kindiki says a court injunction against the issuance of IDs brought about a huge backlog of almost 600,000 cards.
With regard to the ID, the question by the Honorable Junaid Mohammed, the reason for the 10-year limit, there are two reasons. It's actually one reason. It's because of changes in technology. Unlike the ID we have, which has no security features, and therefore it can be timeless. But we'll find a way of making it convenient to the people of Kenya to renew after the 10 years, so that you don't create a crisis by people, and we can do that by even having a phased out renewal process to ensure that, again, we don't inconvenience masses of people. So the problem is technology and the security features in the third generation ID.
Kindiki has further gone ahead to explain why the new generation IDs will be renewable after every 10 years. For a section of Kenyans, however, there's no need for a shift of the new system, which they claim comes with more challenges for them.
Sioni kama itakuwa bora to renew hiyo ID, tunatumia pesa, ikipotea tunatumia pesa, na bado ukienda hicho kipindi cha kurenew tutangoja kwa muda kiasi, so utakuwa umesimamishwa kiasi kikazi yako.
It is a good thing, but to Kenyans, I don't think if it is an agency. And there are things which we should not rush with. We have so many things in Kenya which should be sorted out first before we go to things like Maisha Card.
Under the 20 months the Interior CS nominee Kindiki Kithure served, little was done to salvage the backlog of the issuance of passports and identity cards, and as he redeems himself to be back at the helm of the ministry, many Kenyans have little hope that the same will be done right. Milia Kisienya, K24, Nairobi County.
Now to matters health. In her agenda for an improved health system, Health Cabinet Secretary nominee, that is Dr. Mulongo Baraza, has underscored the importance of teamwork within the ministry. Now, Dr. Baraza highlighted existing gaps such as poor community engagement in program implementation that needs addressing. The vetting committee noted the significant responsibility the health docket carries in realizing Kenya Kwanza's agenda, which includes strengthening primary healthcare network and establishing Kenya as a hub for medical tourism across the continent. Here is Ben Kirira with more details.
Extensive consultations are expected to be a key strategy at the Ministry of Health if Dr. Mulongo Barasa's CS nomination is approved. Her agenda includes transitioning the National Hospital Insurance Fund (NHIF) to a social health authority, digitizing the procurement of commodities and health services, manufacturing and purchasing medicine locally, and ultimately ensuring quality and affordable healthcare under universal health coverage.
With the shift from NHIF to SHIF, the effectiveness of the transition is being debated by Kenyans. So what are the primary gaps and challenges that you perceive in the implementation, and what should you do to address them?
Without the community owning it, implementation will be difficult. And so we need to strengthen communication, receive feedback, and analyze.
Dr. Barasa has, however, expressed concerns with regards to the underfunding of the Social Health Authority in the 2024-2025 budget. The Primary Healthcare Fund